Shalom, Israel. This is Yuli Yasharel. I discovered a site today, and I actually talked to the person that hosted this interview. I talked to him to about an hour earlier today, and we had a very lengthy conversation. And this guy calls himself the Canadian Prepper. He has a friend who actually works in the Russian government. And he shared some things with me today that is very alarming. And this guy that you see now on the screen is an expert. He was a fighter pilot in the Marines or somewhere in the military. This is something I want y'all to see. If any of you have any doubt that there's going to be a third world war, this video is going to make things very clear. There will be a third world war, and I suspected this a year ago. As a matter of fact, a little over a year ago, I remember telling some people that this very thing was going to happen. And this guy almost tells it exactly the way I presented it. And I did not know of him at that time. And so when I've run across this video, I really could relate to this because I saw this coming. And so what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to go to his site and listen very carefully to what this guy's saying and see if it don't make sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from right here. And I just want y'all to listen to what he's saying. So here's the first clip.
Canadian roots, and but you're in a very trying time now with the tyranny of Justin Trudeau. But you know, a lot of people in America and Canadians as well are expecting an economic collapse. As an economist, I can tell you that you don't get an economic collapse ever unless it comes with war and occupation, where you can't go to work anymore. If you just have a stock market crash, for example, or you go into a recession, even in the Depression, only 25% of people were at work. I mean, this was not an economic collapse. It was devastating because there really wasn't a lot of stored, food, residual earnings and wealth in American people. They were poor, they were distributed over rural areas. That's why it was so hard felt, sir. But today they have a lot of stored wealth in the United States and Canada, as difficult as things are with hyperinflation, inflation, high inflation. But these things do not cause us to get into a global new world order. The globalists have long used war to advance the cause of globalism. That was the whole purpose of World War I.
Okay, in case y'all don't understand what he's talking about, is this has been a step-by-step process. This started way back. So this was an agenda and a plan. America is intentionally provoking Russia and China and North Korea. They want a third world war. If they can get this third world war, they think this will help them promote their new world order. I'm not going to give up all the eggs out of this basket just yet. I just want y'all to keep listening. I'm going to skip to here.
And several odd nights where they just leveled the city essentially with artillery. But everything else in the Russian military is broken. It doesn't work very well. They can't do complex air-ground coordination, which they showed in uh, their failed invasion of Kiev. They couldn't give air defense over convoys. Their convoys were on roads, which you never do in a massive invasion. You get off the roads and disperse. Uh, they don't have good friend versus foe identification in their aircraft, for example. So that if you get into a mixed aircraft,
so see, this guy is a former Marine Air Force fighter pilot, so he knows what he's talking about. And the guy that's hosting this interview, like I said earlier, has a friend who works in the Russian government, and this guy has been giving him information about what's going to happen. And this is what friends do. Friends warn friends of catastrophes that they are aware of that are coming. So this this guy that works in the Russian government uh, communicated with his friend, Canadian prepper, to let him know that this is coming. It's coming. It is a definite 100% going to happen. And I'm going to go through the rest of these clips. Um, and then at the end, I'm going to kind of give you my perception of what I see. So listen.
But you have to know and be able to have electronic identification of friend or foe so that you know who you're going to launch missiles at. They don't have that. And so it's been very, very difficult to set up fighters at the same time. They've got missiles in the air, they've got drones in the air. And so what they do, they put the drones up, nothing else. The missiles up, nothing else. Whereas the US and NATO can do very complex, coordinated strike features, which Russia do. So we have in the military completely revised our assessment of Russia is no longer a powerful military operator. They can't hardly even take Ukraine. In fact, they can only get the Donbass over it. It's almost at a stalemate. But they can't invade Europe. There's a lot of talk about Russia invading Europe. Also, how can they do that? And Europe is huge Ukraine. To take invade and occupy Ukraine, how can they do Europe in this place?
All right, so here, what he's saying is basically the United States provoked this war for their own agenda. And the reason for it is because they want this war to happen, because they really believe that they will win, or rather, they will be able to further their agenda, the New World Order, by provoking Russia, China, and North Korea into war. Now, I will explain in a little bit how they think they're going to win this and how they think they have all the bases covered. But see, right now, the U.S. is developing a new missile, a super missile. And Russia and China knows about this. They know about this new super missile. So this is going to cause a lot of problems, because what it's going to do is narrow down the time for a military strike response. In other words, this new missile that Russia and China and North Korea knows about means that Russia and China will have to strike before this missile is completed. All right, let's listen to some more. Now, and while I'm here, I want y'all to look at this, because this is the guy, Canadian Prepper. I want y'all to go to his channel and listen to the full video and listen to some more, because he's bringing quite a bit of good information that you guys are going to need to know. Um, Man, this is serious. This is serious. So let me skip to this clip.
So what they do, they put the drones up and nothing else. They put the missiles up and nothing else. A military base in Ukraine as a blackmail thing and saying, if you want more of this, then just try to fight me. But this isn't true at all. With nuclear weapons today, it's either all or none, Nate. In other words, you either launch a wall and take down everything in the US and NATO inventory, or you don't do it at all. You don't throw a nuclear weapon out at the sub-base in Scotland, for example, of the UK.
Now, I have this guy's permission. Like I said, I talked to him earlier today, and he gave me permission to use his video to show you guys what's going on, because you're not going to get this from mainstream media. For those of you who listen to mainstream news, hey, don't waste your time. You're not going to get this information there. This is one of the only places here, BitChute, Brazen, and Rumble. These are platforms that are uncensored. So these people can say whatever they want because they don't have to worry about their video being striked or shut down. So if you need or want true information, this is where it is right here. So let's listen a little bit more, and I got a couple of more clips that I'm going to go through, and then I'm going to let a lot of it play because there's some vital information that I want y'all to really listen to. So here we go.
Any of the bases, the submarine bases in France. Because you see, what do you do after you've done that? What do you do if the United States and NATO doesn't submit to the blackmail? And they wouldn't with only one thing. What would you do? You can't occupy. You don't have the military to occupy Ukraine. So you can't march in the troops. And it would demand, the public would demand a massive nuclear retaliation. And, 400 missiles can do a lot of damage if they're targeted at Russian military headquarters.
So, the United States only have 425 nuclear missiles, I believe. Russia has, I think, over 3,000. I don't really know for sure how many China has, but China has an army of over 200 million. North Korea has 1 million. All right, listen.
Now, we also have about 14 nuclear submarines, but only about 5 or 6 of those are deployed at sea at any one time. And that's a weakness. But a lot of people don't realize that the warheads on those submarine launched ballistic missiles are relatively small. They cannot penetrate hardened targets. And so they're really only good against cities, and that's not our nuclear power to do cities. We need larger warheads mounted on the ICBMs to hit hardened targets like the Alpha now, an underground city near the warehouse. It is about the size of the Washington, D.C. metro area underground. And everybody has specters in here. But we know that they're manufactured military facilities and their public systems in the area. When you see the dollars we're using this is the guy that I talked to today. And he's the one that has a friend that works for the Russian government. So his information is solid.
In age, are they almost obsolete or?
They aren't obsolete because from a distance they can launch cruise missiles. And, Russia has probably the most sophisticated anti-missile system in the S-400 and the S-500 systems. They can shoot down a lot of those cruise missiles. The warheads, if you have a nuclear warhead with cruise missiles, very small, can't do a lot of damage to hardened military targets. I mean, they can take out air bases and other things. mass outflows. And our waters can penetrate up to a certain distance, but Russia's a big territory. You can't go into the middle of Russia and turn back and look at our stream, and you can do that with the way China's system. So we really depend on missile systems. We are really behind. The United States has a new realistic score on the table that they're supposed to have by 2030. I'm anticipating this will happen before 2030.
Now, this is key. This is the new missile that I told you about that the United States is developing. They're estimating the year 2030 for completion. Now, the United States know that Russia and China plans a first strike. If the United States knows that much, don't you think Russia knows as well? So, I don't see this going to the year 2030, which is less than 8 years from now. So this is what I'm seeing. If Russia knows that this missile, this super missile, is being developed, and they know that they're estimating the year 2030, Russia, China, North Korea, and every other country knows that the United States is the world's biggest liar. So if the United States say that this missile will be ready for launch in the year 2030, it's probably going to be a lot sooner than that. United States never tells the truth. And Russia, China, North Korea, and every other country knows that. So if the United States says we'll have this ready by the year 2030, Russia says, okay, we need to be ready by the year 2025, 24, maybe 26. So what I'm trying to tell you is that based on the United States prediction of completing this super missile by the year 2030, and based on the fact that Russia knows the United States is nothing but a liar, they know that it's probably going to be a lot sooner. So that means they have to get the first jump. Listen.
Just because the Chinese and Russians know that a new missile is coming and they're going to want to strike before that new missile is deployed, because it will be much more sophisticated.
Do you think there's a possibility that, because I'm starting to question whether or not the use of a low-yield tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine would actually elicit a major response from NATO, or would people just quickly acclimate to the idea of these low-yield tactical nukes being utilized in combat? Because it seems like it's not, I'm not sure how totally sold on the idea that NATO would immediately respond with the full force of their military capability to the the use of weapons, smaller weapons that Russia has been regarded as really difficult to tactical use.
All right. So did you hear what he said? No explosion in the Ukraine is going to initiate a tactical response from the U.S. They're not going to jump at that. But wait till you hear the rest. Let me go to another clip.
Your food storage, your weapons, your ammunition in Canada, you don't have much opportunity.
It would have the leverage of holding the cities hostage with the difference of nukes that would exist. Obviously, the Russians and the Chinese would have much more nukes left after the smoke cleared. So I think that's what you're suggesting.
That's exactly right. The U.S. charges knows that Russia and China plan on a first strike. They know that they plan to hit military targets, not civilian targets, and they use fire people to get us to scale the energy goal. And a lot of stupid Israelis in the United States who can't hit goals, which is good, think you can't hit the goals for years. Like the military doesn't do. They declare us to the last enemy. They declare us to the days of the enemy. We made them the enemy. And so they correctly and incorrectly now state that one form of infringement is one of those who says this is the Russian China or enemy. We made them enemies because we're public, well, in fact, they are enemies. They do intend to spread this.
Yes, they do. But why? Because the U.S. provoked this war. All of these things that are going on right now are not coincidental. The U.S. knew what would happen if they asked Ukraine to join NATO. That's like moving the United States military operation right at Russia's back door. They knew what was going to happen, and that's what they wanted to happen. They want this war.
It's just that, libertarians and anti-globalists in the United States tend to be blind to the fact that there are real enemies out there. Now, I'm as anti-globalist as anybody on this planet.
And you remember hearing them say that Russia and China and North Korea and Afghanistan, Iraq was not our enemy. The United States made them enemies in order to further and promote their agenda.
But I'm also anti-Russian and anti-Chinese because I know that they're trying to destroy it. Now, here's the question for you, Nate. Why would our globalist government absorb a nuclear first strike? How could they win a war as they did absorb a nuclear? How could they prosecute the war? Because it would take time to regroup under a military new world order. Well, I think part of the answer is the fact that I think we have weaponized space. One of the former defense secretaries under Ronald Reagan.
Now y'all listen real close to this.
Spoke at a closed session of one of the big accounting firms. And he said this to the session that was being held. He said, you'd be surprised how much money is going to space that isn't on the budget. He said there's $20 trillion going into space that isn't on the budget. $20 trillion. Now, everything that's going into space that we know about, GPS satellites, surveillance satellites, and all those things are on the budget. If there's 20 additional trillion going into space, it means those are anti-ballistic missiles right there. So the U.S. can say without their nose in the back and say, no, we're not going to expect that. And then they issue their government. And China tries to promote the cities after their first military strike because space-based weapons are in those businesses in their first phase before they launch their wins.
Let me explain what that means. The United States has been secretly funneling money, $20 trillion, into a space project. Now, what they think they can do with this is to annihilate any launch of missiles from Russia, China, North Korea, or any other country that's siding with these countries. They think and they believe they have this all figured out. So they believe that once a missile is launched, their space program can shoot it down before it goes airborne. Now, if the United States knows Russia is planning a first attack along with China, don't you think Russia knows as well what their plans are? Don't you think Russia knows about this $20 trillion that has been secretly funneled into a space program to annihilate launch missiles from other countries before they go airborne? Yes, they do.
You see, you can't stop the warheads. We don't have the wherewithal to do that. But you can hit the missile as it is its slowest apex, so that you can actually stop any future nuclear attack on America. Give us time to rebuild a new world order. And that's why I think that's how I think we use our liberty. And Canada will get into it just like the United States, not just the US.
You're suggesting that they would use this as an opportunity to impose some kind of martial law or something like that?
Well, there will be martial law, and there's an EMP strike, and a nuclear strike against military targets. Guaranteed. If there's no electricity, there's no water, and there's a bad mixed energy, you're going to have martial law. And so, you don't want to have to relocate to safety. If you wait until the EMP strike, the first place all of the reason to go to the car, you have to get out of cities. It's going to be too late. You have to have the exposed. And even if it's the 20 minutes, we see the last
I need it to be loud.
I have prepared places to go to defend yourself. And as I said about strategic relocation, the greatest enemy is population density. If you're in the middle of the problem, trying to get out of the city, you'll be outweighed in the cities. It's going to be like people getting out of the hurricane here to New Orleans. It's just 3 years ago. It's just the way to go. And you're in the same like this. You know, that means it's just the way to go.
What was the considerations for being able to talk about strategic relocation and most of the developmental principles of talking about population density? Some other, primary considerations a person should factor into. Because you're talking about visiting with family, because clearly, a person still has time to get their ducks in a row and get prepared. So, where would they ideally place be? We know that all locations are really conflict. In some places, it's probably hurricanes and not people and here there's no population density, but there's not much food and there's a short growing season. So where does a person go in this kind of situation? And of course, there's other things to consider, like if you're going to talk about military targets, this and that. So
let me break down strategic relocation. It's North American United States places like Canada as well. And so, the Canadians are losing all the attention of nuclear targets. The largest significant military bases. I don't think they have to take it down. They certainly have to use it. And here's the problem. We have this significant backfield. You become hardened veterans with the last course of it. But you've got this on the ground, having a population. And those are these characters. You say, and if you're going to look at the answers, you can out to get your orders and you've got 15 years, you can't go ahead. I'm going to hear. But just that they can use those things, and then put it in that. If you don't get here, there's a good cost of things. You don't have to cost time to get it. And if you do all of that, especially because you don't basically then you have to stand up high. You have to overcome your money. Basic space. You're looking at labs, you're protecting shelter. Everything has to be there to those current services. And it's even better what we do remotely in some areas like biological labs. And the process of the people is the same for the person as the patient. So you can go ahead and see conversation because they're You have your country children, and it's supposed to separate nation, not about to kill them, they're gonna get sick, anytime. It's a difficult situation to have. Now, that was a very understanding, just again, the large guy. And the reason when you look at Washington, D.C., 50% of them believe listen to the word yes. They got scared. They didn't die. They get wrong. That's what you get. We don't let it into your home. You just go along with that. And that's what you do. Just if they get scared, you should word that. So we learn to rely on this. Once you have this, when an ancestors, you're going to need to say, preparing to listen to issues. All right. You're going to need to see the hand to the knee, you're going to close the there. So let's go to the goal. Meaning, now or here, let's keep it close to home, and it's even easier. And they need to know the right person. You see what I'm saying?
I guess it's a gamble, right? Because there's no guarantees that it's going to happen, but you're saying that you think the likelihood, I get that they take what you're saying seriously because, they have this kind of money for a team, which, that's not to say that, everybody's going to take an attacker that basically survive, but it's a attack, but it's for the person, so, this is some level of comparison to how people have to take a lot of people in this talk. And then there's another level of awareness, which is just common sense. But you're pretty certain that the only outcome of this whole power struggle is going to be positive.
100%. 100% certain there will be nuclear war, and it will be much sooner than 2030.
100%. There's no doubt in my mind. And the reason is, you look at what Russia and China are building. They don't build those weapons for nothing. Those are not defensive weapons. Those are all offensive weapons. And in another 5 years, China will have as many weapons as Russia has. Just like their military is bigger than our military right now. One of the reasons why Russia will not attack over the Ukraine issue is he has to wait till China is ready and they both attack. Because you see, China's are a manpower occupied, Russia is not. And I take the trigger hit from World War II, they will be in Korea, not Ukraine, not Taiwan. We don't have any troops in Taiwan. If they take Taiwan, they'll be our chest to capture the border. And you look at their sanctions in China, 80% of those equivalents come from China. So they say they're sanctions proof. But I'll tell you that if North Korea invades South Korea, we have 47,000 troops there, we active military and navy. And we'll probably have to use tactical forces.
Now, this means that if North Korea invades South Korea, the U.S. has no choice but to get involved. And that's the trigger. So, listen.
North Korea has 1 million troops, and South Korea has 50,000, and we've got 47,000, and you can't stop a 1 million man invasion and 60,000 artillery troops shooting artillery rounds into Seoul without tactical nuclear weapons. And that would give China an excuse to say you started it and nuke the U.S. military. That's what I foresee as the likely trigger there. So if you see a war in North Korea start, you may have 2 to 3 weeks before we see World War III.
People, go to this site, Canadian Prepper, and go to his site and look through his video. There is more. There is a lot more. And I wanted to bring this to y'all's attention to let you know that don't be distracted. This war is about to happen. This war is about to happen. The United States is not the safe place to be. Running to Canada is not going to help you. So, with that being said, Israel, shalom.